Click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel. Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
So, hi, good evening. Good evening, and then my name is Neeraj Rao, and I'm the history faculty of the Vision IAS, and I'm one of the founding faculties of the Vision IAS. So, what all subjects I do take over here, that ancient medieval history, then modern history, art and culture. So, the portion of history is taken by me. And then, so today I hope that we are here for the discussion that how to prepare for the GS, then GS paper 1, and then I'll be taking the section related to the history. So, how many of you, I just want to know that have taken that kind of given exam just for once, or kind of that have given one prelims? Anybody who has given at least one prelims? No. So, I hope that you are all are freshers. How many of you are still in graduation? Many of you. Then, and then how many of you have started something that about this exam? Started something. So you have started reading something. Then, so I will take up your kind of that questions also. So, but let me define that what are the areas on which our discussion would be centered. Then, so the areas on which our discussion would be centered. So first of all, that history as a kind of portion, or kind of that the section which is mentioned in the civil services examination. Then the two levels, I hope that many discussions went on from the morning, from 12 o'clock, from the afternoon, and then you know that pre and main section, then pre and mains. So in pre, that what all sections of the history is mentioned, and in mains, what all section of the history is mentioned. Then, so in pre, that's you, when you look at that the kind of notification which is given by the UPSC, so in that you will find that history is mentioned in the pre also, mains also, but when you look at the prelim syllabus, so it's not very specifically mentioned. That each and every aspect of the syllabus is not very specifically mentioned, but in a congruous language it is given. Then, so it will include history of India. In pre it is given that it will include history of India. Then, so basically that this one line in the prelim syllabus, history of India, it will include that particularly the ancient history, then ancient, then medieval, and then what else would be there? Modern. Then, so ancient, medieval and modern history. Moreover, when we are talking about that the history of India, so history of India also includes the culture of India. Then, so the another topic which is associated with that is the art and culture. Then, so this part is specifically mentioned in the prelims, that this is the thing that you need to prepare in the prelims examination. Then what about the mains? So here more kind of clear, crystal clear syllabus is given. And then here, what all things they have mentioned. So very first thing, that GS paper 1, I hope that essay is there. Then after second paper is the GS paper 1. And in GS paper 1, so very first thing which is mentioned about that, the culture of India. So the syllabus starts with the culture of India, which will include, so then they have maintained that culture of India, which will include, so let me write those things, that art forms, literature, and then what else? Architecture. Then, so literature and architecture. So this is what is kind of mentioned in the culture part. Then it comes to the second part of the syllabus, that is the modern Indian history. Okay? So they have specifically mentioned that from when, which time period you need to read the modern Indian history. So they have mentioned that modern Indian history starting from the middle of the 18th century. Then, so I'm writing short word modern Indian history. It means modern Indian history. And then starting from middle of the 18th, matlab 1750. So starting from 1750s, then 1750s, and then so starting from 1750s, this is mentioned. Then the next part which is mentioned in the history syllabus, that is also one phase of the modern Indian history, that freedom struggle of India. Then so one more section is mentioned, freedom struggle of India, and then contribution of the different personality. So freedom struggle. So basically what I'll say that this is a phase in the modern Indian history. Then that the history which is starting from the 1750, that modern period, one phase is the freedom struggle, which we kind of that define from that specifically from the 1857 to the kind of that till the freedom. Then so this would be there, this much would be there. So our premise would be this. Then one more part of the main syllabus is the world history. Okay? So post-independence and world history. Then so let me kind of that define the boundaries of the world history. So world history, so what they have mentioned, so world history they have mentioned about that the first of all that what all topics, broader topics are there. So industrial revolution. Okay? So you need to talk about that industrial revolution. Then what else? Any idea? So industrial revolution. Then after that they have mentioned redrawal of the national boundaries. Redrawal of the national boundaries. National boundaries. Then they have mentioned the topic related to World War. Then World War and both the World War, World War I, World War II. Then they have mentioned the topics related to colonization, and then topic related to decolonization. Okay? So colonization, decolonization, and then the last thing which is mentioned in the world history, that the major philosophies which govern the world. Then so like for example that philosophies like that communism, socialism, okay? So capitalism. Then so that philosophies like that, I'm writing short word. So communism, socialism and capitalism. Then so these all things are mentioned in the syllabus. Then one more part which is there that related to the history only, but somehow that it has more aspects, not only the history but society also, and then the politics also. So I don't say that specific history part, but it is the mixture of the polity, economy, society and the history of the India after 1947. So what we say, that part of the syllabus is known as the post-independence consolidation. Okay? So post-independence consolidation means that what happened after 1947. Then so here that in post-independence, so should I write over here? So one more part, so post-independence consolidation. Post-independence consolidation. So basically that what all things would be there in the post-independence consolidation, because that it starts with the framing of the constitution itself, that constituent assembly would be created and then the constitution would be created, and then after the first general elections will happen. So many things which happened after the independence, that many that prime ministers who came to power, what happened to Congress when there was a split in the Congress, then emergency period, then you will be reading that kind of that what happened during the Babri Masjid demolition, then also that Mandal Commission, then Kargil, Pokhran. So these all aspects are over here in the post-independence. Then so your boundary or kind of that syllabus is this. Then syllabus is this. Now we need to see that the next topic, after looking at the syllabus, the next such thing that we need to see is that the trend analysis. Trend analysis means that from which section what number of questions were coming in the previous years. Okay? And then after trend analysis, already I have defined the syllabus, and then we'll look at the kind of that the sources that you need to refer for these sections. Then and then I'll entertain your own questions. I will give you insight related to that some question which has been asked in the previous year. Then and then that whatever queries you have, we will address that. Then so now that let's begin with that. So this area, that first of all prelims part, then prelims part, and then this much parts are there in the prelims. So what kind of that, what was the weightage of these all sections then? So ancient history, medieval history, modern history, art and culture, and this we are discussing for the prelims. So now that when we look at that the paper which started, the new trend of the CSAT pattern, you know that in which year it started? 2011, very good, exactly. It started in 2011 और mains में जो changes थे, these changes were there in the 2013. Then, so for prelims purpose, we'll look from the 2011. So from 2011 to 2019, 10 years has been passed. Then, so 10 years has been passed. So the average number of question, I'll be writing average number of question that you can expect every year from this section. So average number of question can be expected from this section is 2. Then, so every year exam, you can expect 2 questions from the ancient. Then average number of question which is expected from the medieval, you can keep it 3. Then, so this is 3. Then modern, how many you can keep? 9 questions. Okay? That what we have calculated that the number of the questions which were asked, 9 questions from this section. Then 9 questions from this section, and then art and culture. How many questions? So how many questions? So here you can expect at least 5 questions each year. Then, but we need to maintain the maxima minima also. Meaning that किस साल में, किस year में, that more number of questions were there from one section and then less number of questions. So maxima minima, when we look at the maxima minima, so maximum number of questions from the ancient, it does not vary very long. Okay? So maximum was 4. Then maximum was 4. Then when we look at the medieval, maximum was 6. Okay? And then modern, maximum could go to 17. Okay? Maximum could go to 17, and then art and culture, maximum could go to 14. Okay? So the question that 1 year maximum number of questions from the art and culture were 14. 1 year there was 17 questions from the modern. 1 year there were 6 questions from the medieval, and 1 year there were 4 questions from the kind of that this section ancient. But minima also we need to see. Okay? So there is a case that even 1 year there were 0 questions from the this ancient. There was 1 question from the minima from the medieval, and then modern minimum is that kind of that 8. Then and then art and culture minimum is the 3. Then so this is how the things are there. Then but average आपको लेके चलना है, ठीक है? You need to see the average question. So going by the average, if we see the kind of that weightage of this section, ठीक है? So 2, 3, 5, 10 and 19 questions. So you see that 19% of your prelims paper is the history. Okay? So 19% you can at least you can expect that 19 questions out of the 100 would be there from the history in the prelims examination. Then now come to the mains paper. Then so mains paper, what all number of questions? Then so first of all that this section, that culture section. So culture section, how many questions were asked from this section? So here also I will tell you that maxima minima, but first of all that the average number, and then I said to you that CSET pattern started in 2011, but this is the mains, so it will be 2013. So starting from 2013. So max average number of questions from the art and culture, okay, it was 3. Okay, it comes around 3. So average number of question comes around 3, and then the minimum number of questions from this section were 2 and maximum were 4. Then so maximum were 4, minimum were 3. Sorry, that minimum were 2, and then average comes around 3. Then so and 3 you can ask about that how many marks. Then so marks used to differ. Some year one question carried 12.5 marks. Then and some year one question carried 10 marks. Then so if it is that year in which the 3 questions are there and 12.5 marks is there, so it will be 37.5 marks. And then if it is a 10 marker question, so then 30 marks. Then so basically you can say safely that 25 to 40 marks question can be asked from this section, art and culture. And पहला पेपर कितने नंबर का होता है? How many marks? 250 marks. Then so you see that 25, if it is 25, so 10%, 10, and then it is 40, so then something extra. Then so this much would be there. Then what about the MIH? Okay? Modern Indian history. This is the most important portion of the history which is to be asked in the mains examination. So the sorry, I have cold. So that the number of questions which were asked from this section, so that number of the average number of question is 4. Okay? Average is 4, but maxima minima last year, 2018 was the year where minimum number of questions were there from the modern Indian history, that was 2. Then, but maximum has gone till 7. Then, or 7, if it is 7, so you can count that 7 means that 70 marks. Then, and 4 means 40 marks. And if 12.5 marks is there, so then it will be much more than that. Then, so 4 to 7 question in between you can expect from the modern Indian history. Then what about the post-consolidation, post-independence consolidation? So this section is specifically mentioned only in the main syllabus. Then, and then as I said to you that what all topics would be there in the post-independence consolidation. So let me tell you that the number of questions that has been asked from this section. Then, so the number of questions which has asked from this section, 2013 was the first year when the first mains in the new pattern happened. And then in this pattern, so very first year, everybody was so surprised that 3 questions were asked in the very first year. Then, and then after second year, they asked 1 question. But believe me, then after that 2013 3 question, 2014 1 question, and then till 2018 there was no question. Okay? So till this date, within this 7-8 years, that only 4 questions has been asked from this section. But don't kind of that believe, that don't kind of that think that if they have not asked it from last 4-5 years, so then it will not be asked. It is not the case with the UPSC. Then when it is that UPSC, another name we say that unpredictable public service commission. Then when it is gone with your mind, so then they will give you the question on that. Same way that many aspects of the history are like that. That when people see that these are the factual things and these are those things which will be not asked, and from last 10-15 years they are not asking. When UPSC feels that you students have forgotten this thing, again that kind of question appears. So you don't need to be kind of loose on this part, you need to prepare all the parts. Then, and then one more such benefit of the post-independence is that once you are reading it, so it is not only going to help you in the mains, if it is asked in the mains, but obviously it will help you, but it more helps in the essay paper also. And more than that the interviews, it's going to help you a lot to develop a kind of that the society in which you are living, that the holistic understanding of that society, that how your past has been kind of that framed and then how it has evolved. So this is an important section from your kind of that holistic development perspective. Then now come to the one very big part, world history. Then if we count it in the classes, world history may take that 15 to 20 classes when you count it in the classes, and there are some people who complete it in 30 and 40 classes. I'm talking about the market. Then, so 30 to 40 classes. But as compared to the things which are mentioned in the syllabus, and when we look at the number of the question which UPSC has asked, it was very minimal. Then, and then average question that you can expect from the world history is 2. And then some years they have asked only 1 question. Then, so average you can expect 2, and then some year 1 question. Then let me tell you the difficulty related with this section. Some questions which do come in the exam, they are very predictable. If you go by these topics which are given, this is specifically mentioned in the syllabus. So one question that repeatedly they have asked from the Industrial Revolution, which I feel that once you are plunging into the preparatory phase, so what will happen that you will easily learn those things, that what happened in the Industrial Revolution in Britain, then kind of then Germany, then these all area, Japan, and American Revolution, French Revolution. So these all kind of revolution. So you will easily grasp the facts of these, this kind of that incidents, and then you can write the answer. But there is always a question, one question, that if UPSC is hell-bent that they will ask one more question from the world history. So what we have seen in the 5-6 years, that seems to be very difficult question. Even if you have read 1500 pages book of the world history, it will not guarantee you to kind of that solve that question. So no matter that whatever you have read, one difficult question may be there. Then, and there is no limit of reading history. You all know that history is very vast, and then there are plethora of the books that are there in the market. Then, so there is no limitation on reading that, but you need to ask a question, what is the relevance of that? When you are reading so many books, so what is the relevance of that? And one more human factor which is involved with this one, that when you're reading a book, then any bigger book, then have you observed yourself that how much how much you were able to retain after the first reading? How much you were able to retain after the second reading and third reading? And then is it possible to retain everything that is written in the book? So you need to do the cost benefit analysis then on this section, and then this can be done with that. This cost benefit analysis can be done that by limiting your sources and also looking at the previous year paper. So here after discussing the syllabus kind of thing, I need to maintain that what is the importance of the syllabus then, and syllabus and then importance of the previous year paper. So previous year papers are your eyes and ears. Then that last 20-year paper, I'll say that if you're looking for the prelims examination, then so for prelims examination that you need to look at that last 20-year paper just to see that, just to get the knack of the things which has been asked in the exam. Then and then when you are looking at the paper, so you will also understand that what kind of questions they are asking and what kind of question they are repeating. And let me tell you one more fact, that history, this section is one such portion where the questions are repeated. We have seen that the questions are repeated. So there is a benefit of even revising the past year paper. Then, so benefit of even revising the past year paper. Then what else is there, that this previous year paper, and then you look at the trend, that what kind of questions they are asking. Then what else is there, that the next such discussion which would be there, that must be related to the books, and then we'll entertain some kind of questions. Then so books, so book is a one such bigger thing that comes to your mind, that when you are starting your preparation, kahan se start kare, sabse badi baat yahi aati hai, kahan se start kare, kya padhe. Then so in this exam, one very important factor is that you also need to know that what not to read. Then what to read is important, but what not to read. So on a overall holistic level, what I'll try to maintain, that NCRTs are the best guide to you. Okay? Any subject you are taking, okay? Any subject you are reading, so first you try to start with the NCRTs. And as far as that my portion is concerned, so I'll tell you one by one that in these all sections, what all NCRTs you are going to read. Then, so should I start? Should I write? Then, so meanwhile that you have any query regarding this section that I have discussed? Is there related koi bhi query? Then, I need to ask one more question before kind of that starting this one. That how many of you are simultaneously preparing for the state PCS examination also? That are you, that is there that in your mind that you will also give the state PCS examination? Then, so let me tell you that that there is a wide difference between the state PCS examination and then also the UPSC Civil Services examination. Then, so for example, that majority of the people go for that the states which are there in the North India, like the UP, Rajasthan, Bihar, and these all areas. As far as the history is concerned, they ask very factual nature of the question, then very factual nature of the questions, and you may kind of that, you may feel that after giving the exam, that what is the relevance of this question which has been asked in the state PCS examination. While on the other hand, UPSC paper is not based on the mere fact, but it is the representation of that, it is the reflection of your analysis. Then, so there is a one benefit in the UPSC that if you have read less number of books but you are analyzing well, so then you can clear this exam easily, that prelims examination. But the problem with the state PCS examination, that extensive reading is required and extensive memorization, mugging up is required. बहुत ज़्यादा याद करना पड़ेगा आपको, ठीक है? और वो भी facts. Let me tell you some funny things associated with this one. That UPSC will never ask this kind of question. Let me tell you that UPPCS you all know, then and then UPPCS kind of that the kind of history questions that they ask, it's funny also at the same point of time that it asks a penny, that kind of that a question to you, that what is the relevance of this question. So let me tell you one question which was there, that one year they asked, that you all must have heard about the Simon Commission. Suna hoga. Then in Simon Commission, so they asked that while the Simon Commission protest, Lala Lajpat Rai was hit by the lathis, and then how much liter of blood was fused to him after this one. कितने बोतल खून चढ़ा था? अरे भैया क्या मतलब है इसका? कितने बोतल, and क्या करोगे कितने बोतल खून चढ़ा के? Then, so this is the question. You see the level of the question that they asked in the UPPCS examination. Then I'm being critical of this kind of question. It shows that they don't have the questions. Then one more question which was there, that I was very amazed that कौन बनाता है भैया ऐसे question. One more question was there, that गांधी जी के चश्मे का क्या नंबर था? मतलब क्या मतलब बनता है? Even let me tell you, I am also wearing this chasma from the very beginning, that when I was just 10-year-old, 10 साल में that 10-year-olds and within 10 years 3 times that number got changed. Then so you must specify in which year you are asking for. Then so they even didn't ask for that which year they are asking for. So these kind of questions are asked in the state PCS examination, and I just gave you one example from the UP, but all the other states are like that only. Then but in UPSC examination you will not find this kind of questions. Then they will ask you analytical questions, the questions which are based on the strategic facts. देखो facts कुछ होते हैं जो जरूरी होते हैं, that we call as the strategic facts. So some facts are the strategic fact and you need to remember that, and on that strategic fact the analysis can be woven. Then later on that you will realize that there is also that strategy of the eliminating the options and then arriving at the answer. Then so elimination methods also works in the UPSC. I will give you one very good example when I will be discussing the culture. Then so let me define first that what all books that you need to read. Then so should I write? Then so let's begin with the very first one which I have mentioned over here. So ancient, medieval, modern, एक एक करके. So whatever I will be writing here in the modern, that will work for this section also. Then so ancient में from where you need to start, and since I hope that you all are starting or just started 2-3 months back, so I will give you that, I will give you the list of those books which are easy to understand and then at the same point of time informative also. Then so for ancient history, my recommendation to you is that NCRT, the name of the NCRT, Ancient India, and this NCRT was written by Aryash Sharma. Okay? So Aryash Sharma. So for ancient, I will recommend you this NCRT Aryash Sharma. Then, and if you want to know, so this NCRT was class 11th NCRT, it is old NCRT, and then moreover that this NCRT right now it is not released by the NCRT, but Orient Black Swan publication also releases the same book. Then so Oxford, then whichever publication which is there, so you see that it is also in some other publication, but it's the same version of the NCRT. Then so you can go with this book, this NCRT Ancient India Arya Sharma. Then medieval India, so medieval India, this I will suggest you that again the one old NCRT written by Satish Chandra. Then but here I will kind of caution you, here you need to do the selective study. Then selective study, अब ये पूछोगे कि that how I can do the selective study, how I will know that what to read, what not to read. So first you will be seeing the last 20-year paper. Then when you are seeing the last 20-year paper, so you will get a kind of that hold of the things that what has been asked from the kind of that last from the medieval section, and accordingly you selectively read from this section. Then one alternative source I will write, and one alternative source of this kind of that medieval history that you can go fully, okay? Without any kind of doubt you can read the full book, and let me assure you that you will be able to complete it. If you read it in one go, so you will be able to complete it within 12 to 13 hours. Then 2 दिन में आराम से complete हो जाएगा. Then so that book is that Medieval India. This also old NCRT, but written by Romila Thapar. Romila Thapar, and this is old NCRT of class 7. Then so this you can go with. And then why I am suggesting you this Romila Thapar, because that what I have seen that last 7 years that I have seen 5 questions from directly from this book. So that's why I am suggesting you this book, that you can go with this one. Then this is also old NCRT. It is available in your old Rajendra Nagar market in the that photocopied form. So you can go with this one. Then comes that modern Indian history, and then here also that you have modern Indian history, freedom struggle. So I just want to know that have you gone with any book, or have you bought any book? Then Spectrum. Then so generally people go with the Spectrum. Then that's not a bad option, but the problem with the Spectrum, I ask this question only for the Spectrum only, because that generally people buy the Spectrum. So the problem with the Spectrum is that आज से 4 साल पहले in 2016 the length of the book was this much, ठीक है, that the number of the pages were this much, and let me that kind of that tell you that number of the pages in that real numbers around 400 then. So it was around 400, but right now the book which is there in the market, it is kind of that 800 pages book, then double कर दिया है. So 800 pages book, so many irrelevant topics are given in that spectrum book. For example, that the very first topic which is given that related to the that historical kind of that studies, then and then the that kind of that thinker perspective of the history. So see, this section is meant for those who have history optional, ठीक है, उनके लिए नहीं है जो जीएस के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं. सो दिस इज नॉट मेंट फॉर दैट. द फर्स्ट 3 chapters of the spectrum, that new spectrum, is not meant for you. Then that your real kind of that study starts from the unit 3, and then unit 3 to unit 9 you can read, and then the last section of the spectrum is that post-independence consolidation, which you don't need to read. Very bakwas kind of thing is given in that one, and then you safely you can skip that part. So again, what I'm saying to you, that the old spectrum which was there, that 400 pages, if you want, if you get in the market, you go with that one, or if you are buying the new one, stick to unit 3 to unit 9, and rest of the portion you can leave. Then, but my suggestion to you, before reading spectrum, you must read the NCRT. Then, so NCRT, 2 NCRTs I'm going to mention, and my take is a little bit different than the Bipin Chandra. Then, so that what I have seen and what I'm observing from last 10 years, so it is the class 8th NCRT. So class 8th old NCRT, and the name of the NCRT, so it is written by that Modern India and written by Arjun Dev. Okay? So this you need to read. Arjun Dev. See that Bipin Chandra has also written one NCRT, class 11th NCRT. Then that is also good book to go with, but this book is far better than the Bipin Chandra of the class 11th NCRT, because that first of all that the question UPSC has asked from this book directly language of this book has been taken. And one more such thing which is there, that it is very easy to grasp compared to Bipin Chandra, class 11th, and then also that more extensive than the Bipin Chandra. Okay? So I will suggest that you go by that the class 8th old NCRT written by Arjun Dev, and then you can choose the book that you all were saying, that spectrum. Then, but don't kind of that jump into the spectrum before reading this one. So you read first NCRT, and then you go for the that if you're reading spectrum, you can go with that. Then people also go with one more such book which is there, Plasi to Partition. Have you heard about this book? Plasi to Partition, written by Sekhar Bandhopadhyay. So that I will suggest that the first few chapters of the book are good, but you don't need to buy that. Then Plasi to Partition. Then one more book which is there in the market, which is that Struggle for Independence. This was written by Bipin Chandra. Again, one is the NCRT, but this is the Penguin publication, Bipin Chandra, and with 5 writers. Then, so 5 more writers are there in that one. So Struggle for Independence, but let me tell you that this book is also very bulky. Then somewhere around that 600 to 700 pages are there, and then that kind of that it may take much of your time, but the book is good. You can go with that. Then, so apart from this class 8 NCRT, what I'll suggest that you go with the spectrum. And I'm also writing the units, unit 3 to 9. Then, and then alternative source also I'm writing. If someone feels good that they can do, so they can go with that, the Struggle for Independence. Then, so the last I'll write that here I'm writing alternative source, and that would be the Struggle for Independence. Struggle for Independence. Then, but this is an alternative source. Alternative means that you can choose between the either spectrum or this one. Don't go for both. कोई एक ही पढ़ना, अगर जो पढ़ना है तो, ठीक है? So that is there. Then, what about the post-independence consolidation? Do you have any idea that any book which is very good in the market? Brief History of Modern India? No. India after Gandhi, Ramchandra Guha. Then, so India after Gandhi, Ramchandra Guha. So what is there, that this is a very bulky, it's a kind of that the book was written from the perspective of that what happened after the independence, and then many details are there. But once you are through this book, so you may find very less things from the exam perspective. You may find stories which are there then, but from the exam perspective you may find very less things. And one more thing is there, that this book, that this novel which is there, I'll better say that fiction, not fiction, non-fiction which is there. So this particular is somewhere around 16 to 1700 pages. I don't think that for this portion, and you have already seen that 3 to 1 questions, do you need to read that, do you need to that kind of read this much thing? So don't go by that then. And then what you can do, I will give you a better idea then. So there are many kind of that some books, that Placido Partition, they have also mentioned little bit of the post-independence, but rather than going into that, Pradhan Mantri series dekh lo, theek hai? Have you heard about this? Rajya Sabha TV pe Pradhan Mantri is coming, theek hai? See, all the fodder is available in this series. 10 episodes are there, you see the Pradhan Mantri, theek hai? So 10 episodes are there, you see the Pradhan Mantri, and even that polity event section was going on. So sir was talking about that, those all things. So even there is a one more series in the Rajya Sabha TV, that is the Constitution. Okay? So these two you can see, and I feel that when you are going through this TV series, so you will not get bored also, and at the same point of time, you will be more interested into the preparation then, and you will be more motivated towards the civil services preparation. So I'm suggesting you that this 10 episode or 10 episode dekhne mein, kind of that, this is hardly 40 to 45 minute one episode then. So you can easily complete it within the 20 days both. So Pradhan Mantri and the Constitution, so both are available on Rajya Sabha TV then. So both are available on Rajya Sabha TV then. So you can see it from the Rajya Sabha TV then. So this much part. Now come to the world history part then. So here also, that since once I need to again maintain that this is only mentioned in the main syllabus, you don't need to be kind of that fearful of this section in the prelims examination because it is not mentioned. And even in the main section, what I maintain, that even if you read 2500 pages book, you may not be sure that all the question you are going to do. But if you read this NCERT which I'm going to tell you, okay, and then you'll always be able to attempt one question, at least half of the question of world history you'll be able to do, and some year if you feel lucky, if you may be lucky, so then you can solve both the questions then. So that's how it will be there then. So these two NCERTs that I'll mention, so one is that, so much of things I have written and it is cluttered, seems like cluttered, so kuch mita du main then. So this part I'm erasing, and then I'm writing the name of the book. So name of the book, that first is that Story of Civilization, Story of Civilization, and then History of the World. These two are the NCERTs, History of the World, and both the NCERTs are written by the Arjun Dev. Okay? So both the NCERTs are written by the Arjun Dev. Or one more such thing is that this book is also available in the different publication apart from the NCERT. Okay? So this is also available in the different publication. So wo bhi book buy kar sakte ho. Okay? So only this much book I will suggest to you. Ek portion reh jata hai, that is the culture of India. Then, so now talk about that. We will talk about that, the culture portion. But listen to me then. So culture portion, first let me define that what is there in the culture. So culture portion, that history of India, and in the prelim syllabus when culture was mentioned, so there is no separate mention of the culture. It is implicit in this one, ancient, medieval and modern. Then, so basically when we say culture of India, so what time, what context? So basically it is the culture of the ancient India, it is the culture of the medieval India, and it is the culture of the modern India. Then, so basically when you are reading this NCERT, R.A. Sharma, Satish Chandra, so you are basically reading also the culture. Some aspects of the culture you are reading over here. Then, so some aspect of culture is covered over here in this NCERTs. Then some aspect, for some aspect I'll tell you that, for example, architecture. Then, so architecture, here we have written that culture of India in mains part. Art forms, literature and architecture. So for example, art forms may, what all things comes? Indian classical dances, Indian classical music. Then, so these all kind of things do come in the art forms. Then when we talk about the literature, so literature is like that Sanskrit literature. Then literature is like Tamil literature, Kannada literature, Telugu literature. These kind of literature are there. Then, so this is part, and then architecture. So we say that architecture in the ancient time, Mauryas ne kya banaya? What was created by the Mauryas? What was created by the Guptas? Then temples. Then this way, and then Indo-Islamic architecture means that medieval architecture which was there, and then the British architecture. So some of these portions are not mentioned in the NCERT. And so for those portions, how you can go about? So that see that you are taking admission or not, that's a different case. Then, but there are a few sources of the Vision IS that you can always download and you can always read from there. So when you go to the Vision IS website, so we have resources. Usme upar ki taraf ek section hai resources. And in the resources, when you click on that, so we have infographics. Then in the infographics, most of this material we have uploaded for free. Then that for everyone. So you can download those material, and these material have been created from the perspective of that what has been asked in the exam previously, and then what is expected in the upcoming years. So you can see it from those areas. Then, but apart from that, I will suggest one book and then one website to refer. Then, so the book I will refer for the culture of India. So the book is, name of the book is the NCERT Introduction to Indian Art Part 1. Then this is a NCERT. Then you can also download this NCERT from the website. Then so this is NCERT, and it is class 11th NCERT, new NCERT. So this is a new NCERT. Very recently in 2011, government that NCERT released this book, and then since the time that it has released this book, so we have seen repeatedly 1 or 2 questions from this NCERT in the prelims examination and also in the mains examination. So this is a hardly 120 pages book. Then, but let me tell you one thing, that you need to be little slow while reading this NCERT, because language would be new to you. Then that it is the language of the art. So you will have to give little bit of time to understand that language. But once you are acquainted with that, ek baar thoda sa samajh mein aa gaya, so then onwards that it will be easy for you. So you refer to that Introduction to the Indian Part 1, and then there is a one website of the Ministry of Culture. Then do you know that? CCRT. Then so CCRT, so you need to see things selectively from this that website. So this is a CCRT is the website of Ministry of Culture, and then from here selectively you need to read those things which are not over here, then, and which are not over there in the this particular ancient medieval history books. Then so selectively you read those things from this one. Now the another question which comes to the fore is that this is the syllabus. These are the books that we need to refer, but on your part yourself, that I'm asking one question, that the history is considered as the static part, कि जो change नहीं होता है, ठीक है, it's the static part. Then, but the people that many a times that students they ask that, sir, is there any connection of the history, culture, or those all things with the current affairs? So my answer would be yes. Then that there is a connection with the current affairs. Most of the time that the things are static, but their probability increases in the exam if they are there in the news. Then so for example, that this year if you are going through the newspaper, then so you must have read that in Tamil Nadu there is a village Kiladi. Then and in this Kiladi excavation was going on, and some new findings are there from the Sangam period of the Tamil Nadu. Then so then from this perspective the Sangam period of the Tamil history becomes important. Then so this is the one connection. Let me tell you a few more questions. I will not show you the PPTs, but I remember all those questions which has been asked in the previous year. So there was one question that related to Nalanda and Takshashila University. Then so Nalanda and Takshashila University, so this was asked in 2014. Question was about that why Nalanda, I'm telling you the crux of the question, that why Nalanda was modern and Takshashila was not modern. But you know that what was the connection of this question with the current? Nalanda University was recently created, that though it is the old university, but recently it was created by the government of India in the Rajgir and the area of the Bihar, and then the very famous Nobel laureate Amartya Sen became the vice chancellor of that university. So it was there in the news. Then they asked this question. Then one more such factor from where they asked the question of the culture. So you all are aware about the 26th of January Republic Day parade. You are aware of that then, and you see the tableaus which are there. So they do kind of that every state, not all the states participate, but the states which are participating, they do have their tableau. So in the tableau, the kind of cultural historical representation which is there, we have seen that every year they do ask one question from that, then, or kind of that if they are not asking, so in the next year they will obviously ask. So the cultural historical aspect that has been shown in the Republic Day tableau, that is also asked. Then, so for example, that there was one dance of the Assam which was represented, Bugurumba, then it was asked in 2012. Then there was this one dance of the Kerala, Kalariyapayattu, martial art forms. It was asked in 2014. Then there was this kind of that one more, that Manipuri dance, then, and Manipuri dance, one aspect of the Manipuri classical dance was depicted in the tableau of the Manipur, and then that question was asked in the 2017 prelims. Then, so the question that the probability of that, if these things are there in the news, the probability of asking questions on that increases. I hope you are understanding. Am I too fast? If I'm faster, you can just kind of stop me down, and then I'll tone down my kind of that volume. So this way they can ask the questions. Then, so current say related, that kind of that something is there in the news, so then they can ask question. For example, let's suppose that Rabindranath Tagore, his 150th anniversary was there recently. So then they can ask question related to that. Then Rabindranath Tagore. Then when kind of that 2011, let me tell you one question which was there. There is one very famous temple in the South India. Then, and then this temple was considered as that one of the finest example of the temple architecture in India. Name of the temple is the Brihadeswar temple in Tanjore. Then, so this temple was created in 1011 AD, and when you will be reading these all history parts, so you will be reading about this temple. Then, so in 1011 AD, this temple was created. In 2000, and the temple got completed somewhere around 1013. In 2013, this temple completed 1000 years. Then, so there was a possibility that this one of the kind of that largest temple premise in India, Brihadeswara, could be asked. And in 2013 mains, they asked about the Chola art, means that the Brihadeswara temple, which was created by the Cholas. Then, so this is how the questions do have the connection with the current also. Then let me tell you one more factor, that the personalities. Then, so many personalities, for example, that when we talk about the classical dances, then, so classical dances, so people often ask that can they ask that classical dances, classical music, so can they ask any personality? So they can ask. Then, for example, that if there is a personality who is there in the news, if he has received some award, or kind of that his death has happened, so then the possibility becomes that he can be asked. For example, that in 2013 there was a question about Pandit Bhim Sen Joshi. Then Pandit Bhim Sen Joshi died in that year, and they asked the question about him. Then, so Pandit Bhim Sen Joshi, so they gave that which of the following statement regarding Pandit Bhim Sen Joshi is correct. So one option was given, that he belonged to Kirana Gharana of Khayal, which was a true option, and another that he has received Bharat Ratna Puraskar. Then, so that was also true. So when this kind of personalities, famous personalities, something is happening to them, or some good thing or some bad thing has happening to them, they are there in the news, so you need to kind of look at those things for kind of that writing, and then you can expect a question. And then I don't kind of that feel that we are coercing to kind of join you, but let me tell you one aspect of our Vision IS, that we run a program which is known as the PT365 program. And then this program is related to that current affairs. And this program PT365 and Mains 365. So this is related to the current affairs, and in this 365 program, that whatever static or dynamic portions are there, if the current affair news related to them is there, then we conduct the classes related to this one. So for example, that culture is there, history is there. So if any current news is related to them, so we will conduct the classes regarding that, and it is available to all of our classroom students. The people who are not classroom student, they pay the fee, they join, but those classroom students who are there, they they have access to the PT 365 and also Mains 365 program. So this is about the one such thing. Then, so am I clear at this portion, that whatever I wanted to convey to you, and did you understood this part? Then, so now next part I'll move to that. Let me define little bit more about the modern Indian history, that what kind of questions do you expect from the modern Indian history. So let me kind of erase these things and then tell you that what all things that is asked from the modern Indian history. So we will kind of that little bit knowing that what we can expect. थोड़ा इसको साफ करवा देना आप, ठीक है, किसी को भेज के. So now that modern Indian history, so what all kind of questions are there? So first of all, that they do ask questions related to the, let me write it on the board. It's very difficult to remove that black color. So that first of all, the arts. Then the question, they ask question related to the arts. So when I say art, so the beginning of the acts which were there in the modern Indian history, we say it from the Regulating Act 1773. Okay? I hope that many of you must be hearing it for the first time, but don't feel like so. Then you just take it as with a pinch of salt. So acts that 1773, then that some further acts were there, charter acts were there, then Government of India acts were there, and it continued till 1935 Government of India Act. Then, so they do ask that every year you can expect a question from the act section, then from the provision of the act section. Then after the act, the next such section from where they ask the question in the modern Indian history, that is the question on the Governor Generals, and then Governor Generals, and then what else? What we say? So 1857 ke pehle, that whoever British authority was there in India, he was known as Governor General, and by after 1857, the designation was changed to Viceroy. Then, so the questions related to Governor General and Viceroy. Then, so they ask question from this section. Then, apart from that, have you heard about the regional kingdoms like the Marathas, then Mysore? So questions could be asked from the third, I'm writing regional kingdoms. Then, so regional kingdoms like Maratha, Mysore, Carnatic, Bengal. Then, so regional kingdoms. Then, what else? Then, so question related to the events which happened. So for example, that 1857 revolt itself was a one very big event in the history. Then, so events, then, so they can ask questions related to the events. Then questions are, often the questions are related to the Congress, Indian National Congress. Then, and they do ask the question related to the presidents of the Indian National Congress. For example, in 2016, they asked that who was the first president of the Congress from the Muslim community. Okay? So Badruddin Tayyab ji. So even this kind of questions are also asked. So one question arises from the Indian National Congress, INC, then, and then also the presidents of the Indian National Congress. Then the one more major section of the question is that socio-religious reform. Then, so socio-religious reform, and every year you will have to see that one question, you will have to, that you will be getting one question from this socio-religious reform. Then, so socio-religious reform starting from the Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Ramakrishna Paramhans, and then till the modern period, Periyar, Narayan Swami, okay, that, sorry, not Narayan Swami, that SNDP movement. So these all kind of question you can expect from that from this section. Then socio-religious reform, after this section, the next thing which is important in the Indian national history perspective, that is the freedom struggle itself. Then, and then freedom struggle itself, and then the various personalities associated with that. Then, so freedom struggle, many events were there. For example, that non-cooperation movement, that civil disobedience movement, Jallianwala Bagh, then you have that round table conference, Quit India movement. So freedom struggle, that events related to the freedom struggle, they are also asked. Then they do ask some kind of analytical questions in the mains examination. Okay? So some kind of analytical question. For example, that one year there was a comparison between the Gandhi and Ambedkar was asked. Then, so you need to understand while you are studying this personality. So basically Gandhi is a personality, Ambedkar is a personality. So you specifically need to read the personality of the Gandhi and then Ambedkar. Then you can make the comparison. Then, but let me tell you that if you try to find out in that one book where this all comparisons are given, you will not find it. Then this is how that the UPSC becomes that kind of little bit different from the other examination, that you have read about the Gandhi and you have read about the Ambedkar, and then you are analyzing their personality at your own. And what helps in this analysis, I will tell you that test series is the one thing which helps in this kind of analysis. Then, so once you join that kind of that any institute, that for example that I know about my institute, so I can tell you about my institute only. So that you join the test series, so we have 35 tests, okay? And in 35 tests, we try to maintain the level of the UPSC. So once you are going through that process, writing the answers, so you are coming closer to that kind of that analytical part, and then you are sharpening your mind up to that extent that you can write very comfortably these kind of questions. Then, so this is how it is there. Then, so this is one such part of the kind of that modern Indian history. Now, again, that I told you that there are aspects related to in the Indian history where kind of that it's different from the that civil services examination is different from the PCS examination, where you can, rather than mugging the fact with the analysis, you can come to the conclusion and come to the answer. So let me tell you one question which was asked in 2016 prelims. This is a kind of just a exemplification that what you kind of that how you approach the exam. So question ye tha that which of the following is a sun temple, is a sun temple. Then this was the question. Then you know that in India that more than lakhs of temples are there. How many names you are remembering? Is it possible to remember all the names? No, not possible. Then, so the options which were there, so the first option which was given, so first option was given Arsavalli. Second option Amarkantak, and third option Omkareshwar. Then I'll give you the combinations also, that how the combinations were there. So combinations were given in this manner, that so in A it was mentioned 1 and 3, then 1 and 3. Then B 1, 2, 3, then C 1 only, and then 1 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then one more, that so 1, 2, 3 already I have written. So D, so 3, and then no, not 2. Yes, 3 and 2. No, 2 was not in the option. I just kind of that I will keep it over here only, but there was one more option, so I'll keep it over here only. So itne pe pehle dhyan do, okay, that whatever that is there. So going by that, this kind of that I'm just telling you that how to arrive at the answer. So the question has asked about that sun temple, okay, sun temple. So just 1 minute, that 1 and 3. So sun temple. So now you see that these names which are there, you haven't heard about the Arsavalli, you haven't heard about the Amarkantak, then, and you haven't heard about that, even if you haven't heard about the Omkareshwar, then. But let me ask you that when you break this name, what is Om? Who is Om? Very good, exactly. So Om name is dedicated to the Shiva, okay? But obvious. So if the name is dedicated to Shiva, so but obvious this temple would be Shiva. It's like that the temple would be Shiva. Then, so one more option, 3 only. Okay? D was the 3 only. So D was the 3 only. So the temple is the Shiva. Then temple is Shiva. So but obvious that wherever in this option you have the Shiva, you have the Omkareshwar, you need to cut it. Cut this down, cut this down, cut this down. This is the answer. Then even you don't need to remember that what kind of that, you don't need to remember that whose temple is that. UPSC will always give you one option where when you apply your mind, then you can arrive at the answer. What if I change Omkareshwar with the Maheshwar? ठीक है, Omkareshwar with the Maheshwar. Now again same question I'll ask you. Who is Mahesh? Shiva. Then again you need to cut 3. So this is how the questions are framed in UPSC. It's not all about that mugging up the things, but rather than analyzing the things, then that break the things into the small parts, and then you can arrive at the answer. So that's one beauty of the UPSC. So this way they ask the question, and then let me tell you that 100 questions aate hain prelims mein, then, and out of the 100, those who kind of that get 70 questions correct, so 140 marks. So let me tell you that even that we have talked to many of them, that the very first feeling of the people is that they don't know more than 50 questions correctly. And it is the situation that when you give the exam and you are clearing it with very good marks, so people don't know that even in a very good condition more than 50 questions, but 20 and 25 questions they improvise with this kind of methods. So these kind of methods, so that also becomes very important in the UPSC examination. So this is all about that what I wanted to convey from this section, since you are here from the very long time. So now I'll invite questions from your side, that what you want to ask. So you can take the mic so that the online people can also kind of that hear the question. So,
two questions. One, sir, visionized material for world history is very recommended by toppers.
Yeah, you can go with that. So visionized material, it's a very comprehensive one, and then somehow it is going to minimize your time, your effort, because when you go by the world history, so let me tell you that aspect related to the world history, see that world history is very wide. Here, Indian history you read from the India perspective, but world history you have more than 200 countries. And then even if you're not reading 200 countries, so 50, 60 countries you are reading. So it's very extensive, it is very wide. So at the time that when you go for that, the many big names are given to the people, that Jain and Mathur, tum padho, sunoge, so some people will say you Jain and Mathur pad lo, somebody will say that normal Love pad lo. So please don't go by that. Because that even if you buy one book, that doesn't cover overall syllabus. So the best option is that the Vision IAS notes that you have, hardly the 235 pages are there, and that will save your time and money and effort also. So you can go with that.
Then we don't have to read the NCRTs.
No, NCRT, I'll say that's the building phase. NCRT is such a nice kind of book, I'll say, that which kind of that orients you towards the preparation. And then actually it is a paraphernalia associated with the material. And then NCRT doesn't take much time to revise. So when you start that NCRT which we have suggested, so easily you can be completing that within a day or two. 2 दिन से ज़्यादा नहीं लगेगा. So that way you can go with. So NCRT and coupled with our material if you want to go through. Then any other question?
And
yes.
Sir, one Tamil Nadu
Tamil Nadu book. So I was waiting for this kind of thing. So Tamil Nadu book. So how many of you have bought that kind of have seen that Tamil Nadu text? You have seen then? So let me tell you that Tamil Nadu, 2 books are there. Class 11, 12 Tamil Nadu texts are there. And then these texts are very good written, very well written. But the one thing related with this one, that when you want to read the South Indian history, so then you refer to the Tamil Nadu books, but North Indian history, mentioned in the Tamil Nadu book, it is kind of that quite anti to what is mentioned in the NCRT. And you know that NCRT is the central body, UPSC is the central body. So I'll say that for North Indian history, you refer to the NCRT, but if at all, if you want Tamil Nadu, so refer it for the South Indian history. That is given in a very kind of that legible and very kind of that simple language. Then one more aspect of the Tamil Nadu, I'll say to you, that second book which is there, the second book of the Tamil Nadu text, it is that the Governor General topic of the modern Indian history, it is given in a very good manner. So you can refer that part for that. So that is given. So that you can go with. So that's very beautifully written. So that you can go with. But again the question arises that why to increase the number of your books? So why to increase the number of your books? So I will suggest that minimize your resources. And one suggestion to me that from my side will be to you, that many a times that I'm teaching over here from last 10 years, and then I have seen that so many cases and so many people. So most of the time that I have seen the students are more concerned about the collecting the material. And then they pile on the material on their table, but what happens that by the time that initially we are very enthusiastic that to collect the material, but by the time what happens that when the exams comes closer, so we are in a hurry, and then we get frustrated that we feel the guilt that we are not able to read that whatever we have bought. So don't put yourself into that situation, and see, this exam is all about that selecting one material, two material, and revising it again, but not this is the exam of that buying that 10 material and revising it one time. Better would be that buy one or two material, revise it 10 times, and then kind of that minimize your sources. I'll tell you one story related to this also. So this is how. And then you see that you don't want to become the book collector. I hope so. Okay? So you are here to become the district collector. So very wisely choose your kind of that books that you are going to read. And then I'll tell you one example, one of my very good friend of mine, that he was my roommate, and then he got 51 rank. He's one of the very famous personality, I'll not name. So what happened, that what is there, that kind of that what he was doing, that economics was his optional at that point of time. So what he was doing, that very often that when the exam was closer, so suppose that October mein mains tha, and then we were there in the September. So what he was doing, that one fine day, what I found, that he has read that this much thick book was there. He was tearing off the book. So I asked that, what you are doing? Exam is closer and you're tearing off the book. So then he said that, you see, that this is a kind of that very bulky book. And then in this book, I have read 300 pages. Rest of the 450 pages I haven't read. And when the exam is closer, so there would be a temptation from my side to read that what I have not read. But this is not going to help me. And I know that if I will be tempted to read that 450 pages which I haven't read, so that I will be reading that I will not be able to retain that whatever I have earlier read. So I am removing that temptation with me, and whatever I have read, I will revise it again and again. And that year that guy got that 51st rank. So see that he very well knew that the importance of the revision and the minimization of the resources. So first you need to, that my suggestion would be that whenever you are starting and wherever you are starting, and then whichever coaching you are joining, wherever you are going, but try to kind of that keep your sources minimum, and then this kind of sessions would be organized so you can come over here and then interact with us. Done?
Yes, sir. Just now you have said that minimize the resources.
Yes.
So if we join the coaching and we have a study material, so
Yes,
in
yes.
medieval India, you have to you have said that first read the Romelot Harper, then a spectrum.
Yes,
So
yes.
we can exclude.
No. In medieval, that first read the spectrum is not about the medieval. Yeah, I needed to correct you. Then again, you reframe your question. Yeah. Yes. So please ask. That spectrum is for the modern India. It's not for the medieval India.
Okay.
Then, so see that I will but answer your question. See that if you guys are joining our institute, so but obvious that whatever list we are given you, that it's from that perspective that you are not going anywhere. That's my take. That I'm just saying that you are going to prepare at your own. So these books are going to help you. But if at all you are joining our institute, so for example, that let me tell you that you are reading Modern Indian History with Neeraj Rao. And then what crux you will get in the class is that your job would be reading that 13 subjects, but my job is to read just one subject, that is Modern Indian History. And then I have read till now more than 30 books of the Modern Indian History. So that knowledge of mine, that I will pray God that comes helpful to you. Then, so that knowledge would be disseminated in the classes and according to the trend which has been set in the previous year. So that's how it is going to help you. And even in that case, if you're joining the classes, so if you are kind of skipping one or two books, so then it's not a big issue because you are already attending the classes, you are there in the classes. So there is a three-way emphasization. Let me tell you some scientific aspect of this one, that human mind works in three-way: audio memory, then visual memory, and literary memory. Class is the one that that true thing that where you get maximum benefit, that once you are listening to me, then second would be that you are writing that thing, and third is that you are seeing that thing. So three-way emphasization is there in the classroom. Moreover, that you get the hold of the real kind of competition in the classes. Then, so real kind of competition in the classes, you see your peer group, that where they are, where you are, then, and then your reckoning would be there on the regular level. For example, that madam that who was there before, just before that economics, so she must have told you that the kind of program which is there in the Vision IS. So one such is there, that regular mini test, then, and regular that kind of those kind of that objective tests are there. So going by that trend, we see your progress. Then we see your progress, and not only we see your progress, but also on the basis of that, what we do, that we give you mentorship. Have you heard about that? Did ma'am told you mentorship? So what is this mentorship? That on personal level, one-to-one level, that we will be seeing all your aspects, that where you are lacking, even you have any such kind of that other problem. So we talk about that also. We try to resolve the psychological factors that are associated with that also, and at the same point of time, keep you on the track with this examination. Then, so, and let me assure you one more such thing, that the services that Vision IS is offering, that would be, that is not available in any of the coaching institute. For example, that if you're joining our classroom program, so you are given that online access to the classes. Then suppose that there is a Holi, okay? And we all are humans. We are kind of that, we have that tendency to kind of that do celebrate these things with our family. So Holi or Diwali is there, you're going to your home. Then, so even in that case, what is happening, that you're going to your home, but you're not losing on your classes. You're seeing it online. Then, and that classes are available to you till that 2 years. Then, so you can see it up till that end. And then also, moreover, that you can directly ask, you don't need to be present over here in the classes, you can directly ask your questions to your faculty who is teaching over there at that time. So this is the one such benefit, and moreover, that once you join the classes, you will see the quality of teaching over here and the commitment that we try to maintain. So I hope, and I kind of I hope that many of you are joining us, and I want to see you in the classes, so that new beginnings we can start together. Then, so any other question if it is there? So if it is not there, so I will, yes, please.
Sir, how the syllabus of art and culture is different from mains, prelims and mains? What is
See that we can't define that how different. The difference is that you see that prelims examination is the objective. Okay? So, but obvious that the factual portion would be there in the objective examination, that the aspects of that, for example, temple architecture is there. So they can ask you that one year they asked about that, what is panchayatan? So it's just a style of a temple making. But in mains examination, they can ask you that what are the features of the Chola style temple. So basically, it is all about the fact, and then it's all about that the exam pattern itself, that one is the objective where you have that little bit orientation towards the facts, but in the mains examination, the subjectivity is there. But once you join the classes, it will be much more clear to you that what is going to happen then. So I hope that, yes, please. Maps, yes. So maps you can read, if you want the sources for the maps, so you can go with that. There is one book of the spectrum, you can refer to that. NCRTs also, that also you can refer. That much better is that you refer to the maps which are given in the NCRT. And if you join the classes, so I'm the one who takes this section, so I do draw these maps in the classes itself to make you understand, and I will also kind of that helping you in drawing that in the classes, remembering that in the classes. Then, so that's how it is there. But if you want to kind of that buy any book, so there is one book of the map of the spectrum that you can go with. Then, so anybody else who want to any other question? Then, so should I wind up the class, this session? So I hope that you have gained something from this session, and then I just want to thank you all for patiently listening to us, and then I hope to meet you again in these classes. I'll be very elated if you join the course, and then I'll be much more elated when you when you'll be there in the selection list, that the list of the UPSC. So with all the best, I'm summing up the session, and all the best to you. Thank you. Thank you.